All right, we're doing some more judo. Trying to think thoughts along the lines of Tokio Hirano, but for warm-up, pair up in partners, grab a belt, and let's do some rolling.
Cool.
This is one of my favorite warm-ups. John, since you're everybody's favorite, okay. Tony?
We'll start toning down my ukemi so it just sucks.
Y'all go ahead and get on your knees here, and one of you hold that in your right hand and one in your left hand. There you go. Y'all do a forward kneeling roll that way, hooked together. There you go. Y'all can roll forwards, you can roll backwards over a shoulder.
I don't like that look. Okay. All right, ready?
There you go. Hey,
There you go.
Sorted it out. Beautiful.
So find your partners, roll forward, backwards. You might switch arms so that one has to go backwards as the other goes forwards, and so on. The point is to get some beginning ukemi practice, just beginning to warm up, but also to start paying attention to the rhythm and the space of your partner. All right, so
Go real slow.
real slow.
Real slow.
Don't clobber people with your heels.
Yeah. Get it soft and slow.
And the reason that we're using belts is right here. You saw how this was twisted about 3 times. You don't want to do that with people's arms, so put a belt in between. Find some space and play that. Let's quit that while we're ahead, while everybody has gotten some practice and nobody's gotten a heel in the head. Go ahead and put your belts over there. Find you a partner. It can be the same or different. And let's do some foot sweep to control. All right, so taking this guy and capturing his foot each time he steps back. All right, play that.
Kind sir, would you care to join me for a dance?
Thinking monkey. So each time he steps back, he leaves you something to grab. Yeah. Instead of thinking T-ball, like,
When you, what do you?
So, okay, so I'm not,
grab it.
so I'm whacking.
instead of whack, and I reach up to sweep it, and I hit it, they come apart. They recoil. All right. So if I hit him, there's no way to control it because we've separated. All right. So if I grab it, I can put it wherever
really
I want.
Nice.
Right.
Thank you.
So,
All right.
I like to do the thing a couple of rounds and then add a pointer. We would like to begin using our feet as if they were hands. We're trying every time he steps back to grab a foot and hang on to it for an instant. If this is his foot and I'm going to sweep it and I reach out and hit it, we recoil apart. So if I'm attempting to control this foot, there's no way to do it because I separate us, right? But if I reach out and grab that foot, I have a longer span of time than that to attempt to control. So grab it and hold it for a second. Hold it for a second. Hold it. Okay. Play that 2 or 3 rounds, and I'll give you another hint. Uchikomi, where we're getting lots and lots of repetitions of partial throws. It's kind of important when you're repeating a partial throw to keep in mind what you're trying to learn. So if you think that you're trying to learn Dayashi by doing this, there might be a problem with that. If you think that you're learning a Kuriashi where he starts to rise and you pick his foot up, that might be a better idea. This might be a Kuriashi that we're practicing. if you want to turn this into Dayashi Barai, it can't be done on the up, right? As he starts to rise and I pick his foot up, I can kick his foot to the moon, like as far as I can, and probably won't get him to fall. If he does fall, it won't have that quality that we're looking for from Dayashi, where you tear the feet out and he drops like a sack, right? So this could be a setup for Dayashi, but it's not going to turn into Dayashi until he sets it down. All right? So Dayashi is a going down throw. So if we're going to simulate that in this, pick his foot up and set it back down. He takes a step, and I missed it, up and down. Pick it up and set it right back down in front of him. So if I'm controlling his foot, I can do things like pick it up and move it and set it somewhere else. So the exercise becomes up, set it down, up. Oh, I missed that one because I fell over. That's part of the exercise though. All right. That's very close to a Dayashi. All right, so try that. Pick the foot up, control it for a second, set it down. If you're the most awesome tightrope walker in the world, if that's your universe, all you have to do to beat somebody is get them on a tightrope with you, right? So if you can make people live in your world, then you've got an advantage. I tend to take things literally, so when I started thinking about that in my practice, I started putting people on tightropes with me. So we get this 4 feet in a line thing, and neither of us is stable. The good thing about me not being stable is he can't use me for support, right? And he's fixing to be in trouble because all of a sudden he's in a tightrope with me, right? So when you pick this thing up and control it for a second and set it down, don't just let him set it anywhere, because here we've created a box where we have stability here and we have stability here. He can fight with me in every direction, right? If I get control of this thing and set it down, set it on that line, and let's see what happens. All right, so when you set it down, 4 feet in a line. On curbs when you were a kid, I still do that just because I get a kick out of it. If you're walking on a curb and you're continually moving and you get a little disruption and you keep moving, everything's cool. When you get into trouble is when you get a little disruption and you lock up and you try to attain a route in a line, and all of a sudden it gets worse and worse and you're locked up. That's that Hondo reaction that Tokio Hirano was working off of. So next time you have a chance to walk on a curb and you feel this, ask yourself, what's the consequences of just stepping off the curb, right? If there's no consequences to stepping off the curb, then you never get that lockup in your body. I think that's what he's demonstrating. That's sort of a redneck, childish way of thinking about the second half of that kata, where the first half of the kata is the conditions are created because he does a trick to lock uke up, for a second and create a reaction that sticks him here frozen. And then he throws with that reaction. But the second half of the kata is created because Uke tries to lock him up and he just steps off of it or sits down or refuses to participate in the madness of the first half of the kata. But before we get to that kata, let's continue our warm-up with some uchikomis. The other day we said when we first started, they told us get some running room and step in. Do that a million times. One thing that I'm doing here is creating that reaction in him, right? Another thing that I'm doing is I'm learning to cross this distance, right? So the running room thing, it has some function to it when we approach, and if I can get some sort of thing set up in him, then I may have to cross this distance in order to join with him. Hirano simulated this, two fists, by putting Zombie Man here. And sometimes you'll see him do uchikomis. Be strong, don't let me uproot you. And so I'm watching, I'm reading up on his, okay. Sometimes you would see him take one arm and he'll do this and sort of read that a time or two. And then turn around and smear him. All right, so part of uchikomi is a entering, and part of it is fitting to the right waveform. So play this sometimes. Pick your, whatever your Takui Waza is, probably a that way throw like Osoto or a turning throw like Seoinagi or something, and see can you start reading this guy. And join with him. All right? Play that.
Good.
We play like Judo, so we play like Judo games. I mean, I didn't see that tripping.
It's almost happening at mine.
It's a real shoulder workout.
Man. It might be a little bit shorter, but you want him to have to cross this distance and join with that wave. You might have preempted that. As tall as he is, so I tend to hook his. Right? If you hook his head, you'll pick yourself up.
Yeah, so
right? Hook his hip or do Seoinagi or something.
Seoinagi takes another whole turn. That would take so much time.
Okay, hook his hip. Or put your hand on his chest.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Very slick.
Forward, so you could join with it. Sometimes you see Hirano, he would take one arm and he'd spring it, catch it, and then step in and sumi-atoshi. He had a lot of different ways to enter into uchikomis, to do that, to do something to give him a chance to do scurry.
Don't play that.
You can play it, but
It's not smart.
no, it's smart. If you're going to develop that, this is how you do it. But you have to move yourself in and
Have to shift my hip.
yeah, you have to configure your whole body so that your legs will work. He's trying to sit you down right there in that part of the X. Here's you another, Robert. Here's you another thing that he used to do with the two fists, and steady posture. Sometimes instead of springing him this way, that creates a wave that's doing this, that I'm either joining with there or I'm joining with there, right? So instead of snatching him and hooking to him and trying to create that part of that wave, you just put that entire wave on him and wait for him to come around and catch him, right? So springing him this way creates a wave here, right? Sometimes Hirano would do this. Compress him a little bit and let go. Compress him a little bit and let go. Right. It seems like when you let go, he's springing forward, but if he's catching himself, he's creating a reaction backwards into that. So you can throw forward or backward off of that. So read him a couple of times. There it is. And see, can you fit to whichever throw that you feel like you want to do to that waveform. Play that for a few moments. Can see and read that wave and learn to see what it's going to do when I let go. All right. Don't let me disrupt your posture.
So he's not pushing, he just holds his ground.
Hold your ground. Now that you know that I'm doing that, don't let me spring you on your toes. There it is.
Or you want the back, you're trying to get the back now.
I'm trying to get the whole wave, and I can insert myself into that wave going that way or this way. All right, so when I do this, if you go slow enough that you pay attention, he springs forward and then his back muscles activate and he rights himself, but he's vibrating like that.
Oh, there it is.
So if you just go real fast, like this sort of thing.
That kind of worked also.
It kind of works.
You don't see it though, do you?
You don't see it and learn it, and you'll never get the back one that way, because the back one you have to wait. See what I mean? So when I let go, you spring forward, and then your back muscles activate.
I feel myself going back on my
and
heels
you go
now.
that way. Okay, so you have to go slow. Bodies don't work at just any old frequency that you want. Check this out. This is worth mentioning to everybody. What are some examples of physical machines that exhibit waves or frequencies? Our first one, our favorite, was a yo-yo. What else?
A fan.
A fan has a frequency. People have frequencies, right? A yo-yo or a slinky, right? A slinky walking down the steps has a frequency to it. People have a frequency, and it is not arbitrary. People cannot be made to vibrate at just any old frequency you dream up, right? So just because I feel like I want to whip him into the ground doesn't mean that I can. I have to find his frequency and operate on it, all right? Otherwise, I have to be able to pick up 180 pounds real quick from out here, all right? So part of the exercise is to slow yourself down so that you can begin to read and understand these frequencies that people work at. Okay. All right, now that you've felt that a few times, don't let me spring you forward. There it is. All right. Some people exhibit this wave in him is springing him forward, and it's forward and backward. All right. Some people exhibit a lot of the forward. Some people recoil back from it. All right. and you can catch some people that way, some people this way, and so on. So it's good to play these games with different partners when you're doing uchikomis. Here's another one. I mentioned the other day that Hirano had a lot of these strange drills, and basically what he's doing is uchikomi from a lot of different conditions. All right, so we hook up and we get shizentai, and I turn, put my hands here and crunch a little bit. Put my hands here and crunch a little bit. And crunch. And crunch. And I'm reading his frequency while I'm doing this. All right. And I'm trying to figure out what part of that wave we're going to match to make a certain technique. So when we're doing this thing, we had forward, backward, up, down sort of things. We had some forward, backward action, right? The other day we played this one, another way of getting a forward, backward, up, down sort of action. Here we're getting sort of a side to side. All right. So play your uchikomis that way for a few minutes. Of different ways that he created the motion in uke. So his job is to stay upright and not be a pushover for me. And my job is to get him in motion. So this time, hip out to the side, hip out to the side. This is the boogie.
Is that the technical Japanese term?
That's right, boogie waza. All right. So when you join with that at the right time, he just about, well, he does jump himself out of the ground, just like Eric was talking about yesterday. Throw the ball up, and when it becomes weightless, when you throw a ball up, you're illustrating a wave form. When the ball becomes crested, it's weightless and hanging, and you reposition it somewhere, right? Or you can catch it at the bottom, starting up, and reposition the bottom of it. Okay, so do the boogie nagi. All right, play that.